Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Drive-In. I am your host, Aaron Lopez, and this week I am joined by a very important guest here, my wife, Jordan. Jordan, thanks for coming on today.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is episode 3 for me.
I'm pretty sure this is your third. Yeah, you were on the debut episode, our probably worst episode to date. I didn't know what I was doing yet. Had nothing to do with you. But yeah, no, I had no idea what I was doing in that first episode. So hopefully you guys got through that one because I know it was probably hard to listen to. But then Jordan was on for the episode of, what was it? Murder on the Orient Express.
Yes.
And that was with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law. So this is her first time since that first one of being herself. So thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
This week we went and saw Incredibles 2, and so your specs on that, it is starring Craig T. Nelson, Holly Hunter, Catherine Keener, Bob Odenkirk, and Samuel Jackson. So we've been waiting, is it 10 years?
14.
14 years. I thought it was only 10. It's been a long time. We have been waiting for this sequel. Kind of one of those that you just knew would get a sequel the way they ended it and the way that everybody loved it. The fact that Monsters, Inc. got a sequel beforehand, everybody was like, oh, what's this shit? But it was good. I really enjoyed it. But before we get into that, though, specifically, because this is, I think this is the first Disney Pixar that we've done on this podcast. I might be wrong.
Is it really?
I think this is the first one. No, we did Coco.
Oh, okay.
So this is the second one. But to kind of give our listeners a little bit of insight into your appreciation of Disney Pixar films, what are some of your favorites?
Always gotta go with the classic. Toy Story is a good one. Oh god, of course. Now you ask me, and I can't remember.
I remember watching the third one with you. We were in college down in your. It was where you worked. What was that? Ryder Hall.
Yeah.
We were down in the marketplace where people would go and just like get a quick pop or check out a movie.
And
we
could watch movies for free while we worked.
And we watched Toy Story 3. We didn't see it in theaters, and we're like, "Oh, it's finally here!" So we went and saw it, and you cried.
Oh, it was so much crying.
Oh,
and it was so embarrassing because I'm working and you're here, and it was awful.
But yeah, that one. I think that one really hit everybody. Toy Story's good though. Toy Story's good.
Nemo's great. I mean, is there really a bad Pixar
I never
movie?
got into Ratatouille, but I think that's just me.
Okay, yeah, Ratatouille's like not my fave either, but it's still not the worst movie in the world.
No, Cars 2 is pretty bad too.
Yeah, I guess.
But I mean, honestly, they put out like 25 and only miss on a couple.
Yeah,
it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, they've done well.
Yeah, I was talking with Ben last week about it, and I'm pretty sure my favorite still to date is Bug's Life. There are so many of these just dirty jokes hidden into A Bug's Life that I didn't know until I watched it like years later. Where I'm like, oh my god, they let kids watch these movies. But no, I loved Bug's Life. All right, so we'll jump into it. So our trailer rundown of this week, only 6, very family friendly, of course, as you would assume. But we have AXL, Dog Days, How to Train Your Dragon 3. And I don't remember what the actual tag was. It wasn't called How to Train Your Dragon 3. It's like Lost Kingdom or something like that.
I don't know. It looks great.
Lego Movie the second part, Christopher Robin, and Ralph Breaks the Internet. Of those 6, which ones are you looking forward to seeing the most?
Absolutely. How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah.
I didn't really think that this would go into a trilogy ever, but they've done really well with it, and the animation has just improved. And they were showing some of the previews, and it was very Coco-esque with some of the colors and things that they were using. It looks really awesome, so I'm probably most excited about that one.
You have a little bit of a crush on the old bearded version of what's his name, don't you? What's his name?
It's something weird.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Like Tiny Tim, but like dragon-ish.
He pops up on the screen and Jordan's like, he looks good with a beard. I'm like, yeah, he does.
It. So I wonder if at the beginning, they were showing a future version.
It could be, because he looks younger in the trailer.
Yeah.
Like, the reality of, like, the majority of the movie, he looks not that old.
Yeah. And
then it shows him at one point, and he looks bigger with a beard.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Kind of a twist. I don't know. Maybe they're throwing some little bit of a curveball our way. I am more than thrilled to see both Lego Movie 2 and Ralph Breaks the Internet. I loved Wreck-It Ralph. That one was probably one of my favorites, just because it's all those pop culture references of video games that I grew up with. So
can we just laugh at how they're like, well, wouldn't it make more sense if it was Ralph wrecks the internet?
Oh yeah, I mean, let's talk about Wreck-It Ralph. This in Disney, we were talking about this during the trailers, that how Disney's becoming more self-aware of its problems, and the fact that it's addressing them, but only in certain avenues, I think is really cool. point in case, the whole princess Ralph Breaks the Internet, where Vanellope goes into the princess dressing room, and they're talking about, like, you know, what kind of a princess are you? Were you poisoned? Were you kidnapped? Do you have magic hair? Magic, you know, and then all these different things. And then they say, were you kidnapped? And they're like, oh no, do I need to call the police?
Are you okay?
And then what's the line? They go in and say, Does
everyone believe that you were saved by a big, strong man or whatever?
And she's like, yeah, what's with that? And you're like, oh, you are a princess.
Oh, it's so upsetting.
And you think about it and you're like, that's not every single princess. And then you look back and you're like,
it literally is.
That's every single princess.
And so, also the fact
even
that...
Vanellope, like, Ralph is that person for her. Like,
you
it's
don't
not
remember Vanellope, really. You remember Ralph for the most part. Yeah, I mean, it's been a criticism of Disney over the years, and I appreciate them trying to address those things, but also help them in certain ways. You know, they've had a lot more female-driven movies come out. You know, like Moana is one that comes to mind.
But even Moana
has a guy.
Yeah.
But it's still their... I appreciate them trying, and the self-awareness of this. The fact that they're showing that clip with the princesses as their promotional material is huge.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just snuck into the movie somewhere. It's in the promotional material, so trying to make it they're trying to make a loud statement, really.
Yeah. I think it's pretty cool to see that they're doing that. And, you know, even, like, at the very end, that second half of the trailer where, like you said, of shouldn't it be Ralph Wrecks the Internet? And they're like, no. So they're poking fun at themselves within their own movie. And that's honestly, it's, you know, we always talk about things like how Harry Potter, the people who read it grew up with it. And you're kind of seeing Disney Pixar doing the same thing.
Yes.
You know, we're about the same age when Disney Pixar was directed towards kids with that first Toy Story movie, getting older, and like the Toy Story franchise did that. Now you're seeing that with some of their other movies. They're not forgetting about the people who got them to their success, which is like our generation, which just dove straight into the Disney Pixar franchise. So
I can't wait until we're in our 80s and we're still watching Pixar.
Oh yeah, and they're on Toy Story 15 and. I think a fourth one is still in this.
It is still coming out. They were supposed to stop with the third one, but with the success, they decided to push it. Just typical Disney. It's one monster they haven't quite overcome.
They need to let that one go because it was such a good ending to the third one. It was very well done. Okay, let's go into the spoiler-free summary. And actually, just to kind of get you guys up to date, we will do this, but then we are going to talk about the short. So we aren't going to jump right into the discussion. We are going to go into the short, which was really weird. We'll talk about that here in a second. But your spoiler-free summary for The Incredibles 2 is that in his long-awaited sequel, Mr. Incredible finds himself left at home to care for Jack while his wife, Elastigirl, is out saving the world. There's definitely a lot more going on with it, but outside of the trailer, we can't really go into a whole lot of detail. You know, you have a villain who comes into play, but that's kind of your spoiler-free summary. If you haven't yet seen it, it's been out for a week and you've been waiting 14 years, so go see it. And then when you get done, come back and check out the discussion on Incredibles 2. So this is your time to pause, and we'll see you in a little bit. Okay, so now we are with those who have seen the movie, who are smart enough to have gone and seen it in the first week of it coming out, because it's very, very well done. Or just those that heard that you were going to be on it, and they're like, oh, I got to hear these two talk.
Oh, my fans.
Andre is going to enjoy this episode. Let's just put it at that. There's your weekly shout-out. I missed you last week. I'm sorry. I don't think I gave you your shout-out, and it was a couple weeks away, so you're probably lonely. But let's jump into the short. So the Disney short, we both looked at each other because I think we both forgot about the short ahead of time.
Well, we didn't talk about what was before the short.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
So before the short, all the actors, and I think maybe the
director. Yeah. Bill Barr, I think.
And came out and said, we know it's been 14 years. We know it's been this long. We're sorry. We get it. Mm-hmm. But deal with it.
And they're like, it's worth the wait. I promise
you. It's absolutely worth it. There were reasons we had to do it this way. We knew you always wanted it. No one said no to it. We just had to take the time to make it right. And I read today that a lot of it was they couldn't choose a storyline perfectly. And you kind of see when we get into the plot why they chose a storyline for this time and era. So I appreciate that. But it was just kind of unusual to see, again, self-awareness and saying, we get it. Stop bitching. It's here, okay?
Yeah.
But anyway, the short.
Yeah, so this one was called Bao, B-A-O. This one started out, in very normal fashion.
Sad.
Just kind of sad and like, okay, here's conflict. You kind of felt that there was going to be a father or a marriage issue.
It was Asian woman
and her husband.
Her husband. She was painstakingly making dumplings, putting all her love and care into the dumplings, and then feeding them to her husband, who would eat real quick and leave and go to work. And you could just tell she was just kind of bummed that he would just up and leave very quickly.
And that's very normal. Like, that seems like a normal short. All right, great. And then all of a sudden, she's going to eat her dumplings, and she goes to eat the last one, and it starts crying. And it becomes alive. It grows a face. And then very quickly grows arms and legs and a nose and like a body.
It's crying.
And it becomes a living thing. Very weird. A very sharp shift in the plot. And we both looked at each other like, what the hell just happened?
It's so weird.
And so this dumpling starts growing up. It still maintains all of the basic features of a dumpling. It is, it has filling. It is malleable.
It does have filling. His head dips in and falls in if he is hungry, because that means he's run out of filling. So she has to fill him up.
Yep.
So that his head is shaped right.
And he's growing. And the thing is what I thought was kind of weird is we don't have a timeline. This timeline of how he's growing, it seems like it's like weeks, months, or whatnot. Mm-hmm. But we don't have a 100% finite timeline to this. But he gets bigger. He starts to want to play with other kids. At one point he headbutts a soccer ball and his head caves in a little bit, and she freaks out and reshapes him and gives him more food and everything. More filling.
He starts rebelling.
He starts to grow a beard.
Yeah, he grows a beard.
He grows really
so weird.
awkward prepubescent beard. And then he starts to rebel against mom. And like, there was the one where he goes in, like, grabs like a bag of chips, and she's making dinner, and he looks at her and just like shakes his head.
Gives her a dirty look and like walks away. And then he comes to the house, and he has this woman with him, and they're engaged, and it's a surprise to her. And they're like, no one says anything in this entire short. Very typical Pixar short.
Mm-hmm.
And he introduces the girl he's engaged to, and the mom kind of freaks out and is just stunned, and
she like steps in front of him at one point and won't let him leave the house.
Yeah, she kicks the other girl out, shuts the door, and won't let him out, and he packs his stuff and leaves.
Well, he attempts to leave.
He does eventually.
No, because remember, this is where he comes back, and she like steps in front and says, no, like, I'm not gonna let you.
But then he does leave.
Okay, and then
he finally gets out and away from her and walks out the door, and she goes to her room and cries.
Hold on, you're missing a very important thing. She fucking eats him. I was like, hold on, no, you're missing.
Forgot!
Yeah. So,
oh no.
So he does break away from her as he's trying to leave. And then she, like, lunges at him, grabs him, and eats him. And then she sobs and goes to her room and is crying.
Yeah.
It like, jumped to a whole other level of what the hell am I watching?
Ooh, I cried, which is weird.
It was weird. So here's the point, though, in the short where I started to make the connections of what was going on. Mm-hmm. I made them a little wrong. I thought she lost her son. Just like to death or something.
Yeah.
Because when she is in her room, above the bed, you see the husband, the wife, and a son. And I was like, okay, she lost her son. This was a way of her coping with this. Mm-hmm. Well, she did lose her son, but not 100%. We find out that the son went through the same thing. She basically was reliving this with this dumpling of what happened with her and her son. He shows up.
He looks like a dumpling.
He has the hair. Like, his hair is, like, pointed like the top of a dumpling. Mm-hmm. He's got the same beard and the same facial features as this dumpling. A little chunky. He's got a large head. But you see him show up, and the father's like, go. He pushes him and then shuts the door. And the son brings, like, the pastries that she would feed the dumpling. So you can start to see, like, this connection between the son and the dumpling son. Mm-hmm. And this whole message is basically the main character, the woman, she was trying to live out her life again with this dumpling, and she was kind of thinking about, like, where did she go wrong with her son? But they seem to reconcile. Like, they have their pastries. He brings a box of them, and they talk and lean on each other. And then all of a sudden, she's making dumplings again with her son and his wife, who's the same girl as the other one. and he can't make them. She can. They're like, oh my god, you can make dumplings, but without actually saying that. And
we never said that the girl was American.
Well, yeah.
Not that that matters, but it was there was an even deeper layer there, I think.
Like he's stepping away from his culture.
Yeah. And it did end up being very beautiful and sweet, but I cried.
Yeah, it was a little tough because it's one of those where when ate him, I didn't know what they were gonna do.
Yeah, eating really
it was weird.
But it was good.
It was a good short.
I give them props for thinking outside the box. Some of them were starting to look very similar.
Yeah. So this was a nice one. It definitely took a couple swerves here and there, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was well done.
Do you remember the short where the little girl dies?
Which one was that?
And she becomes a ghost.
Oh, yeah.
Remember that one?
The one where she dies
in her sleep because she's
cold.
Homeless and cold?
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, I forgot about that one.
Oh, my God.
And they kill her off pretty quick. You're like, oh, my God.
No, remember, isn't she, selling flowers or something? And so they go through that, and they see her in her dreams. I think we see her in her dreams, once before she dies. And then she dies.
My favorite short still to date... there are probably two of them, but I love the one where the guy's doing the paper airplanes. He's trying to hit the girl.
That one's cute.
That's a good one. And then I really enjoy the original, where the Toy Story one, where the old man is playing chess with himself.
It is chess. It's not checkers.
He's playing chess with himself, and you don't realize he is until the very end. And he's like, aha! And then he fakes having a heart attack to get the other to trick himself. It's just it's something we all have this great uncle or grandpa who would have done something to try and do that with you, but he's doing it to himself, and there's just a level of relatability.
See, that's kooky, but also on my side, that's very sad.
It is sad.
They didn't point at the sadness in that short, but it's sad.
Disney Pixar really just goes for the sad and depressing all the time.
Yeah.
So. Okay, so let's jump into it. We are our cold opener of the plot, and just so you know, we definitely have given you some spoiler warning, so we're going to jump into this hardcore. The cold opener. We see what's the guy's name from the first one?
Gregors?
Dicker. Rick
wrong.
Rick Dicker. What a name. He is kind of interrogating Tony, who is... if you've seen the first one, you recognize him as being the boy, the kind of the cool kid that Violet likes. And he's kind of interrogating him and saying well, what was going on? What happened that day? And they're referring to the day that the first movie ends, where the Underminer comes out. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of flash back to, as he's describing it, we see that he's I was hanging out with my friends, and then in the parking lot, this happened, and that's when the Underminer's big drill comes out. And he climbs underneath the car, and he sees these people in tights, and he's like, one of the voices sounded familiar, and he goes out, and Violet, who is forced or is told to stay back with Dash and Jack, has taken off her mask and thrown it because she's upset. She turns around and she sees him, so it's kind of like this, oh my gosh, the hidden identity is gone. Mm-hmm. So we read this cold opening, we find that basically his mind is getting erased from that, but we find out quickly that it's more than just that event that got erased, but his entire memory of Violet, which comes into play later.
Yeah.
But kind of a cool cold opening to not focus so much on the family, because we've been waiting so long on the family. Mm-hmm. They're incorporated, but it kind of gives you a swerve. What did you think of this? And then we can go jump into the Underminer scene altogether.
I mean, it was cool. It was just kind of a cute little recap without being too obvious.
Yeah.
No one remembers this kid from the first movie, so it's pretty great that he was our shining star in the opener, and literally no one could have told you who he was.
I thought it was cool that they incorporated the actual interaction where he asks her out on a date, because that was in the first one.
It looks like they definitely beefed up that animation too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was not the same one.
No.
But it was cool because it was it literally showed here's the overlap in these two movies, and it was. They one ended and the next one began, which is pretty cool when you see that.
Yeah.
But the Underminer is the villain that they are trying to stop, not for the entire movie, but just this part. I thought this was a perfect place for this next movie to start, because that was where everybody kind of anticipated, oh, now we have a new villain, and they haven't even fought him yet. So I thought this was perfect. But this is where we kind of jump into the involvement of the family. The family is all trying to be involved with the Underminer, but yet you have this aspect of family versus superheroes, and the kids are told to wait with Jack Jack, and the parents go off and do stuff. That doesn't last very long, though. The kids kind of jump into it. We see the Underminer's plan essentially is trying to blow up the city from underneath so that the bank falls underground, steal all of the money, and then go away. He gets away. Like, they don't stop him. The big ship continues without him. He goes away in another ship.
Also, they never readdress that.
Yeah.
The mole gets away with everything.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Is like, so the movie like shifts drastically after the Underminer opener to like, okay, now everyone's upset because it's collateral damage thing of like who's going to be accountable for all this.
And they were
Superheroes.
it was so business. They were like, if you had done nothing, if you hadn't helped at all, we have insurance that would take care of that money.
Yeah.
How corporate. It's so irritating.
But you're exactly right. They never address the Underminer again. They talk about how the Underminer got away. He got the money. There's all this damage to the city. But never again is the Underminer addressed. Which I think was... I thought it would have been kind of funny if he showed up again at the end. But no, like, he never is addressed again.
Nope.
So a little missing plot hole. If I had anything wrong with this movie, it was like... They didn't wrap that up at all. In any way, shape, or form. Underminer is just one of the many villains that the Incredibles were not able to capture, I guess.
In the Underminer's defense, he had also been waiting 14 years to find out how his story was concluded.
Exactly.
I think he deserves to get away.
Well, I think it was 14 years of how are we going to make a mole man actually seem like a realistic villain? And he had all these little side gadgets and everything. Like, he knew... he had, like, a secondary little... drill that got away
with all the money. It was anyway.
He kind of, it's like he knew what was going to happen or something. But yes, it was kind of interesting that they left that. The Underminer got away. There's all this damage, so now there's the question of the accountability. Superheroes become like illegal essentially. They stop doing the superhero reallocation program. Rick Dicker. He is fired, or his program's gone. So he's like, I got you 2 more weeks in this hotel, and then you're on your own. So the family, because remember at the end of the first movie, their house gets exploded because of the satellite and that what was it? Syndrome. Yeah, syndrome and the satellite and everything that blows up their house. And so now they have nowhere to live, and people know who they are, and so they're trying to do this reallocation, and they are. They're homeless, essentially, and that kind of brings into the next question. They're at the hotel, and they're talking at dinner about, well, not talking, essentially, about what was going on. It was, basically, that was all from the trailer, essentially.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, so they're talking, and it's really just the parents discussing, well, they're trying to reassure the kids that everything's fine. You know, we have 2 more weeks here, that's all, because Violet's going through teenage stuff and saying, how much longer? What's going on? I don't understand.
Yeah, she wants answers.
Understandable. Dash is kind of like, he's still the younger kid, he's totally fine with whatever, as long as he gets to watch his TV, and then Jack Jack is just being a dork.
This is the first time we actually get Jack Jack, too. Yeah. They're talking about, like, oh, Dash says, I want to be a superhero. It's what defines me. Like, oh, yeah. Being a superhero defines who I am.
Defines me. And what did you say? I heard it on a TV show.
Yeah, and then Jack Jack does his like blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's right. Whoever
that's the
voiced
first
Jack
time.
Jack
I actually looked it up because it was like, okay, hold on now. And then Jack Jack's actually done by somebody. They didn't just get a kid.
Oh, they didn't get a kid. That's too bad. I really wish.
No, it wasn't. Like... I was kind of surprised by it. I'm gonna look it up here, but yeah. So it was. I should have this up. The Jack Jack was voiced by Eli Fusel, who is he did Jack Jack in the first one. So he might have been a baby in the first movie, but they brought him back. And he is not a baby anymore. It's kind of weird. But yeah, so they didn't bring back, they didn't have a baby starring Jack Jack, which I thought was kind of interesting. But just hilarious. That's the first time we actually heard him. Mm-hmm. So after dinner, they are sitting by the pool of the motel, and you have them talking about, like, what are we going to do? Like, can't afford to. We're on our own now. We can't afford to not go back to work.
And this is where the husband-wife, male-female dynamic starts to come in, which is the whole main point of this movie. She what is her name?
Helen.
Helen says something about, maybe it's my turn to get a job because one of us needs to stay home to take care of things. What if it's my turn? He goes, no. I'll just go back and do insurance and whatever. She goes, but you hate insurance. I know, but it's what's good for us and blah, 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 blah.
And she kind of steps in and says, you did it last time, it's my turn.
Yeah. And
you start to see, it's not necessarily very confrontational, but you can, like you said, you can definitely see the roots of some sort of conflict between the two, starting of this, who's going to go take care of the kids, who's going to be the moneymaker. And Bob, the Mr. Incredible character, is very much a representation of the old school mentality.
Yes.
Of man's got to make the money because it's his duty, not because he's more capable, because he would never say that about his wife. She even goes to say, she was just as good as, she was good at doing her thing too. But, it's his job as the man to make the money for his family and take care of his family.
Now, for people who haven't seen it, that's not solidly said.
No, it's implied.
But it's definitely heavily implied.
Yeah.
It's the dynamic.
Yeah.
Anyway, out of the woodwork comes...
You got Lucius. Lucius comes in, and he comes out of the shadows, so they're kind of, taken off guard here, thinking that there's some villain again, maybe the Underminer.
And Frozone was actually there helping during the Underminer issue, but he was taken...
No, he booked it. As soon as he saw the cops, he left.
True, but a driver drove up and said, I represent someone who wants to help you guys.
You shouldn't have to run. Yeah, he's like...
You shouldn't have to run.
Wouldn't you like to be part of something that could change this?
Yeah.
So he goes off and does his thing, and then he shows up at the pool.
Yep.
He's talking to Helen and Bob, saying, hey, I just met with somebody, and I'm going to meet... Or I just got done meeting with so-and-so, and I'm going back to meet him, and he wants to see you two as well. Go grab your outfits. There's an opportunity for us, which they thought the superhero thing was done because it was just told to them, hey, it's done. We're no longer doing this. Superheroes are banned. They're no longer legal.
Go get the outfits, meaning your old school outfits.
Yes, not the new ones.
The Incredibles one.
He says because he's got a flair for the nostalgic.
Yes.
So they go, and kids are all still awake. Well, Jack's asleep, but the kids are awake. Violet notices as they're leaving that Mom Helen's wearing her old boots. So she knows something is up. Again, Violet's growing up. She's a little bit more observant. Aware. Which I think is kind of cool that they subtly give her a little bit more responsibility.
Yeah, she demands more answers, which is great. Because I feel like in the first movie it was more Dash demanding answers.
Dash he demanded attention.
Yeah.
He's kind of an OCD kid. And they give him that power, which I think represents that symbolic of it. But yeah, I think they gave Violet more of her due importance in this one. I thought that was really well done. So she notices it, but the focus then shifts to the Dever family, Winston and Evelyn, which I'm not sure necessarily what this means, but Winston Dever, like an endeavor, and then Evelyn Dever. There's some endeavor involved.
Really?
I think, I don't know. I was just trying to play with it in my head, like the wordplay. There's something, when we get to Evelyn, we'll talk about it, because I think I don't know what Winston would be, but... Sister shows up late to this. This dev tech is their company, huge multi-million-dollar company. What was it? Telecommunications and whatnot. Yeah. And he's there and he's talking to him and he's playing on the nostalgia of the old Incredibles outfit and his theme song and Frozone's theme song. She shows up late, all disheveled and everything. She's kind of like the cool hippie sister, or hip.
Well, he
sister.
said that she was the designer, so I assumed it was Edna Mode designing, so designing the outfits or whatever. Turns out, no, she's actually designing the telecommunications. Yeah,
she's the inventor in the company.
The brother sells it and is the face of the company. But anyway, he gets into the story of his parents and how his dad was a huge supporter of
I don't remember their names. There were two supers that he got real close to.
But it wasn't just those supers. Those were his best friends, but he supported them.
Starkly
was
supported
really
them.
upset when they were deemed illegal,
basically,
and not citizens anymore. And one night, someone broke into their house, and the dad tried to call the supers on his hotline that he had. Couldn't reach them because it's illegal. You can't have that. Mm-hmm. And instead of going to the safe room like his mom, or like the wife wanted, the mom wanted, he got shot and died, and then the mom died a few months later. Yeah. And the kids were trying to explain that we want to bring that back. You know, bring the safety back, that we have supers who are helping us and keeping us safe.
Yeah, and that's where we see their plan. They want to get supers back on everyone's good side. Mm-hmm. And they say it's all about perception. The perception of supers right now is that they see all this destruction and then they see them get arrested. So obviously there's a bad perception. It's like, we need to change that. We need to give people your point of view, your story, how you perceive things. And that's when they show that this whole time, with their badges that got them into the building, they've actually been recording. So it's kind of like they're saying, like, we're going to put body cams on you, cameras on you that show everything. And this is exactly the point where you kind of sat up in your seat and looked over at me and like, are they commentating on like police body cams?
They are.
And they totally were, yeah.
And again, this brings up the point that they said they could not bring this until 14 years later, because the storylines kept changing with the era and what was going on in our lives. And this was a really good point. Now, they didn't touch on the things that body cams are used for. Yeah. You know, the reasoning behind it. But I do appreciate the subtle nod. But
it was there. Yeah, and again, like, this had a lot to do with the plot, but they never really focused on it. It just worked its way into the driving the plot along with them having the cameras on. Mm-hmm. But I thought that it was really cool because, yeah, I mean, it talks about the perception. The perception right now, if you're going to look into the political commentary of everything, right now, a lot of people don't trust cops. Police officers are not trusted by many people, not just, you know, different minorities in different cities, but just in general. Mm-hmm. And so they're saying, well, the perception of this is not going to change unless people actually get to see what it is you are firsthand experiencing. And so then you say, all right, well, if you put us into the driver's seat alongside these superheroes or these police officers, then there's no question of did they make the right choice or not. They can see exactly what you saw. Mm-hmm. And so, again, like you said, they don't really drive this home. It's subtle from this point on, but it's there. So it's pretty cool. So at this point, though, they take a shift, and we know that this is happening because of the trailers. But Elastigirl is the choice that these siblings want to kind of front this new initiative. The reason they ran all of the numbers, and they found that she was the least destructive. She made the best decisions out in the field.
According to the chart, she was like 50% less likely to cause as much damage and money to the city.
Which is funny because this is another time when you see the male-female, the split, because he is like, well, of course, and he starts to like go off like, I could do this. Yeah, of course, because the numbers are skewed. And then she looks at him kind of like, careful what you say here, and he backs off in a way where he's like, well, yeah, absolutely, she's a great choice, she's absolutely great, but you can tell he's saying it through his teeth. He's grinding his teeth.
He's upset because he's not number one for once. It's about her. And it's really funny, you know, I talk about the corporate stuff that they bring to this, and I really hate corporate and everything it's about, but it's all about the numbers, right? That's a corporate mentality. And now with these, they went so far as to check out how much damage each super costs them. That's insane. Yeah. And I'm sure that's real. Those are real numbers somewhere that someone created. Yeah. And it's interesting and amazing. And they said not only would she be favorable because she was cheap, well, she cost less people, or cost less money than everyone else, but it also was, again, an era thing about female power.
Yeah, and I think it's cool because if you look at their power sets, it makes perfect sense. He's about strength, and he even says in that, he's like, you got super big, or you got super problems, you need super strength. Mm-hmm. Or you got big problems, you need a big hero, kind of a thing. Yeah. Which it's like, kind of like, it's a man's job to take care of about manly things, which is saving something. But you look at him, strength, yeah, of course things are going to get broken. Strength can't be contained always. Frozone creates ice and out of nothing. So he's got ice that breaks and then causes damage. I mean, you got to think about like water damage and things like that, which they never discuss. Yeah. She just stretches, and you can see in her chase scenes that throughout the movie, she's very useful with her stretching. Like it does things that allow her to do very little, if not any damage to anything. She actually prevents damage through her stretching. So yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And as we talked about, Bob has some issues with this, like his manhood is challenged. It becomes a thing where now he has to stay at home to take care of the kids, so that way she can go and make superheroes legal again, so he can go and be a superhero again. Yes. So it's kind of like take a back seat so he can take the front seat again someday. So yeah, I think that, this is kind of a good place to take a quick little break, because now we have the family's got a new home. There's some fun things we'll talk about with the new home. Now their financial troubles are solved. So we're kind of jump right into, after a break here, we'll jump into what this split between mom going away and fighting crime and dad staying home, what that does. But this is the time for us to take a little break. So let's all go to the lobby, grab a refill on your drinks, your popcorn, go to the bathroom if you need to. Let us see what is coming up soon from Eventide.
Oprah's Book of the Month Club? Please. We've got something much better in store for you.
Let's talk about books. The energy is right. I got a candle going. It feels good.
Every Monday morning, Jessica Gillen sits down and talks with you about the very best in books and literature.
Murder on the Orient Express. The Strange Case of the Alchemist's Daughter. The Cruel Prince.
It's The Bookseller. Every Monday morning, brought to you by Eventide Entertainment. If there's one thing that's true about wrestling fans, it's how much they like to talk about wrestling. Join Aaron Lopez and Ben Norsworthy for the Top Rope Wrestling Podcast.
Let's get ready to rumble!
Tune in every episode and be ringside as these two break down all of the big matches in the world of professional wrestling. Brought to you by Eventide Entertainment.
Welcome back to the second half of this week's episode. We just got done talking about kind of the setup for the main conflict within the family, but we haven't yet talked about those specific conflicts within the family. So let's look at that. Helen goes away to fight. The whole plan is that she's going to be on the front lines of fighting in the worst. He's like, you want to be the best superhero, you got to go where the worst crime is. So he goes off to this new city, or she does, excuse me, and Bob is left with the kids. And we kind of split the kids up into three little mini problems that he has to face this entire time. You've got Dash with his math problems. Dash has trouble at school. Mm-hmm. Violet, who has got boy problems because the boy literally doesn't remember her. And then Jack with all these new powers. So let's kind of break them up. We'll start with Dash and we'll go to Violet, then Jack. Dash's was kind of the least important of the problems. It was just kind of a side issue. He had math problems, and so you see this in the trailer where Dash is sitting there and he's trying to get Bob to help him out, and he doesn't understand how to do it because they've changed math.
Why did they change math? How did they change math?
Yeah.
It cracks me up
it's
because
funny.
we all had parents we would go to and be like, we don't understand this. Well, your parents don't either because they definitely did change math.
It's all these different formulas are different now.
I felt that in my core. When he was my mom used to do that. She would get the answer of my homework that I was trying to ask her about using whatever she used to do. And then we'd find out I wouldn't pass because I didn't solve it the way they wanted to. But we got the right answer.
Yeah, and they're like, well, that's not the way you're supposed to do it. And he's like, why would they change math? They can't change. Math is math. Yeah, and that's the thing. It is pretty cool, though, because at one point, in order to solve this problem, it seems to be the quickest solve. He stays up late one night. He figures it out himself. Mm-hmm. He wakes up Dash a few hours before he has to go to school, and he sits there. And it's a quick win for Dad. He just is like, do you get it? He does. He's like, yeah, awesome. And then later on, it's when things start to pile up on Bob again. He's like, all right, now I need to do, what is it, fractions and decibels, or demisels. And there's your little, what is it, the dyslexia of Dash coming out. He doesn't quite get
Bob
it.
goes, we just did math. Yeah, but now we do this one, the demisels.
Yeah. He's like, well, I was behind. He's like, I thought we got you caught up. Well, I did get caught up, but now I'm behind on this one. It's like, I mean, but that's a real problem. I thought that was kind of a cool.
So real life.
Like, I got
all
plenty
of these are real life.
They are.
But that one hit really hard.
I love it because I've got plenty of students who will spend time and time and time trying to catch up on a concept, especially like math or science, which is so like built and structured and stacked on top of each other. And then, they get caught up and then they don't understand the next one and they're behind again. It's just, it's real.
Math is awful. No one should ever use it.
I am behind that. And then Violet. Violet's, again, was probably the one that, to me, was the one they didn't give enough attention to. They tried to, but they kind of steered away from it at times.
I thought they gave enough attention. They just, there was confusion, because I think we all thought that she knew the boy's memory is going to get erased.
Yeah.
Well, it accidentally got too erased, like you said, that he forgot all about her. But she's waiting for her date, and her date never shows up. And that's, again, a real-life issue that young girls and boys all go through. Maybe they were dumped, or their date didn't show up, or whatever. So, of course, she went through a lot of issues and changes, and she was upset, and she, typical person, doesn't want to tell her parents. She doesn't want to let them see them cry. I was the same way.
Well, and I think it's funny, because that, like, I hate to say it's the stereotypical girl reaction, but at one point, like, she goes back to her ways beforehand, where she's like, when she's sad, she goes invisible. But you see her walking in her sweater. She opens up the freezer, grabs a pint of ice cream, and walks back away. Just like,
I've seen you do that a lot.
I do that as
really
long as
do.
we have ice cream in the freezer. Walking in, it's not hard to do that. I do that when I'm happy, sad. I mean, pints of ice cream out of the freezer are good for any time.
You pop in a good cry movie and eat your ice cream.
Yeah, watch a little bit of Disney shorts. That's all you got to do.
That's sad. Do you want dumplings for dinner?
Oh, jeez. No, I don't want to raise a kid today. But no, there's one issue with the Violet thing. Well, not issue. One situation that popped up that I literally, and I think you even had this issue too. We couldn't recover our breath. We were laughing so hard. Bob's way of trying to fix this whole thing is to reassimilate Tony to his daughter. So he finds out that Tony's parents own the Happy Flapjack.
He does recon on this kid.
He finds out.
Just like he studied for Dash's math stuff. He's like, I'm going to solve it just the same way.
Yeah. And takes her and the family to the Happy Flapjack.
Without telling Violet why they're there, and she's bitching that they're even there. She's
like, yeah, why are we here? Why can't we just do drive-thru? He's like, it's the Happy Flapjack. We're just doing something different. And they're like, it looks more like the Sad Flapjack. Because it's like one of those really crappy, like, old 70s diners that, like, like the old Denny's that never renovated the inside. And they come up, and the person who fills their waters is Tony. And he fills everybody's waters without them actually panning to him. Violet takes a drink of her water, and she looks up and sees who it is, and she chokes on her water, but it doesn't just it shoots straight out of her nose. And it's just it was the reaction of it's how you would react if you were her in that situation. But then they throw their twist on it of how the water came out the nose, and she's coughing and coughing, like trying to get herself.
She's bright red, and she's not looking at him. And Bob is like, hey, I'm Bob. This is my daughter, Violet. Like, not getting, he's a total daddy who's not understanding. Dad, this is not the time.
This is not how you meet boys.
This is not how this works.
Yeah. So that was pretty funny. The water out of the nose thing.
Poor Violet.
Oh, man. But so, essentially, he doesn't really solve this one. Like he does with Dash. He tries to, but ultimately, things kind of get a little too problematic. And Violet really, at least until later on in the movie, doesn't really reconnect with Tony. Mm-hmm. And then we get to Jack Jack. Jack Jack essentially is a baby, first of all, which you have all these different you have to take care of it. Always watch, feed, eyes on the baby all the time, put it to sleep, etc. But then you throw on this aspect that Jack Jack has all these new powers, and powers that no one knows about until this moment. No one in the movie knows that Jack Jack has any powers, because you realize in the first movie, the only person that he has his powers around is Syndrome. Syndrome's not here anymore, so Syndrome can't tell everybody. So we find out that Jack Jack has powers, we know, but the family finds out because Jack Jack is discovered having this street fight with a raccoon, which was probably my favorite.
I love that you call it a street fight.
This was what it was. I mean, like, except for a shiv, that was the only thing missing. Like, you had this angry raccoon, and it's kind of cool, the connection that Jack is watching this movie, and a robber has, like, the bandit mask on, and has these, like, sniveling facial features, and he looks over and he sees a raccoon eating out of the garbage, and he's thinking, I'm gonna go fight the bad guys. Oh my god. So I actually went online and looked, and they said 17 powers. There's a couple of them that I found questionable, but here's the ones that here's all of Jack's powers. Okay. And I'm going to ask you which one your favorite was, so listen for him.
Okay.
So Jack has, at least in this movie we have seen, he has multiplication, can multiply himself, turns into the demon monster, fire, laser eyes, he can grow, like Hulk grow, or Blob grow, dimension hopping, he's got a metamorphosis, as we see later with Edna, he has super strength, invulnerability, in the fight he doesn't need a scratch on him, he floats, kind of like just like floats around. He has telekinesis. He can move things with his mind. He flies in a way because when he sneezes, he's this like rocket booster sneeze goes through the air.
He also floats.
But he floats. Electricity, because we see it. We don't actually see him use the power, but when he does his like the laser eyes fire sneeze thing that he does where Bob's holding him, there's electricity. So at some point he harnesses electricity. He does this purple blob thing where he kind of like changes his shape. And he can walk through walls. There's a
he
couple.
doesn't change his shape. He becomes like a gel.
Yeah, there's like a
Is that the one
gel.
you're talking about?
Yeah. The purple goo that he does. There's also the one that they said that he can kind of like turn himself into like a rock. In the first one, when Syndrome is holding him, he turns himself into a rock and then like gets real heavy. Or like steel or something, metal. So that's also there, but we didn't see that in this movie at all. So all things added up, he's got like 15 powers that we see throughout the movie. And a lot of them we see in this first fight with the raccoon. The raccoon essentially is like, I'm going to kill this little kid until he realizes this kid has all these powers. And the raccoon's just trying to survive, which I think is just hilarious. He gets caught up in the chair, and Jack's on fire, like basically throwing these chairs like he's just gonna burn this raccoon alive. It's a hilarious little fight.
Give that raccoon some props.
It was cool.
He did not give up.
But of all of these, what was your favorite power that Jack had?
Do you want to guess what my favorite power is?
Oh man, I would probably say the demon.
How did you know?
Just because it's you. The demon was pretty funny.
That's my favorite. Not only because it was funny, but if I had a power, that would probably be it.
Well, it's like I think it was funny because when he's showing Lucius Jack's powers, he does the num cookie, num cookie, and he finally gets him. And then the cookie's gone, and he gets pissed off. Jack does, and he turns to this demon and starts gnawing on Bob's arm. He's like, no biting, Dad.
My favorite was when Edna was like, I learned that any situation with cookies inevitably leads to Demon Baby.
Demon Baby.
Yes. No, thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, I thought it was awesome. We continue to see these like powers, and I think I undoubtedly am anticipating a third movie, and how they incorporate Jack's powers into the third one is just going to be even better.
I hope Jack never grows up.
No, older Jack
That's the best
loses
part.
it. Yeah. He's got to say he can maybe be infant, where he talks or says a couple words, but he still doesn't have control over his powers.
To be a baby. Yeah.
So really, that's the problem. Not only is Jack a baby that he has to take care of, but he's got to figure out these problems with all of these new powers. So we're going to pause on Jack here and kind of say what's been going on with Helen before we say what Bob does with Jack. So Helen's been in this town, and they say, hey, there's a problem. There's been some threats and potential issues with this train. They have this new train that they're putting up in the city. They're opening it up today where there could be a problem.
Yep.
Well, there's a problem. It immediately, as soon as it goes in, Mayor cuts the ribbon, and everybody gets into it for its first voyage.
Inaugural ride.
And it immediately starts going backwards. And so it's going very quick, too. So Elastigirl Helen is trying to keep up with it, catch up to this train, and try to save everybody because there's only 25 miles of track.
Did we talk about their new house that they're in?
I touched upon it before the break, but no, we didn't look at it. But go ahead.
So they're in a great new house because the brother and sister put them in it. But she gets this bike, this amazing motorcycle that was made for her. And so she's following this train on this bike. And the best fucking part about this bike is that it must have two motors.
Yeah.
Because she can split it and stretch it with herself, which is an amazing just thought. I'm sure it's technology.
Just design. Yeah, the design
behind it was. She'll need it to move and blah, blah, blah.
So you have like perfect. Front wheel can move with her and back wheel. And so, it's like two different bikes.
It splits apart and comes back with her based on how she stretches. But anyway, she's using that to catch it up. her moves in this entire scene are...
It's flawless.
It was cool. Mind-boggling. Like, I almost couldn't keep up. I was so excited. She's like stretching and she's bouncing off of buildings, but again, she's on this bike the entire time, and she's folding herself against the train so that she doesn't get hit by a tunnel. Typical trains always.
Trains always got to go through a tunnel. It's a little movie cliche.
And backwards, the track is not finished.
No, it is, but like it's not. Well, okay. I take that. It's not finished. You're right. There
was only, I remember because she said how much track is left.
And they said
backwards,
25
and
miles.
They said 25 miles. Yeah, that's it.
That's true.
So it's going fairly fast.
And at this point, you start to see the conductor. They cut to him a couple times, and he's in this trance, and you see a little bit of like this like flashing light in front of him. He's looking down at his monitor, and so he's kind of in this trance. And they continue to have her go, and she eventually does catch up to it. She does some really cool, like you said, some tricks with her bike and her stretching. Before she does stop the train, and then runs into it and says, you better have some explaining to do. And the guy is like, what happened? He has no recollection of what happened. But on the monitor, there is some typing. It says, welcome back, Elastigirl. So whoever did this has some sort of control of people and has some way of knowing that she's involved. So there's a little bit there. They continue to try to figure out what's going on. Everyone's thrilled that Elastigirl saved this train. So there's this positive spin on the superheroes, and Bob gets to watch Elastigirl flipping through channels and saying nothing but all this positive news about his wife's wonderful rescue.
And we didn't touch on that she has a new outfit.
Yes, it's very dark.
It's not the Incredibles outfit. It's not her original Elastigirl outfit. It's an outfit designed by the sister, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
No.
It wasn't the sister. It was like this like fancy designer, because they mentioned something where it was like, I can't remember the name, but it wasn't the sister. It was basically like this Italian designer, and they're like, ooh la la.
So let's just say it was Versace or Gucci or whatever.
It was something like that.
Label designer designed it, and it was based on her original design, but darker, like black and dark red rather than red and white.
Yep.
And she was never a fan of it, because she's like, I'm Elastigirl, I'm not dark. But anyway, yeah, so everyone's excited. Bob's seeing the TV. Bob gets a call from her, and she's...
But this is kind of cool. She does, and this is the selflessness that I love that they gave to Elastigirl, to Helen's character. She asks him how everything's doing with the kids. Her mind is on how are the kids, and at one point she thinks, all right, I'm done, something went wrong. But Bob is doing okay. He is finding that parenting's a lot harder than he gave it credit. But immediately when he asks her, after some talking of him explaining all the problems or all the things that have been going on,
he didn't explain hardly anything. He said everything was fine.
Yeah.
He didn't explain that Dash was having trouble with math. He didn't explain that Violet was having issues in her love life. And he did not ever say that Jack had new powers.
Yeah, that's very important. He didn't give any of that. He does say, though, that, like, he says something about somebody had an issue at school or something happened, and it wasn't. She's like,
I think he might have said that
her date or something.
The kid's mind was erased.
Oh yeah,
something
that wasn't like the end of the world. But she's like, I knew it. I'm gonna go. Like, I'm coming home. And he's like, no. I got it taken care of. He's like, so how are things with you? And she's like, amazing. I stopped a runaway train.
Zero casualties.
Yeah. I thought it was just really cool how like they show like her mind is on the kids, but when she has an opportunity to finally talk about herself, she bursts. It's kind of like finally she gets to talk about herself.
This is when I really wish. I'm glad they chose the storyline. I'm glad it went this way, but all the promos are like, see how supers deal with parenting. Oh, now suddenly, because Bob is the only parent in the house, but Helen used to be the only parent in the house while he was off doing stuff all the time, and she didn't even know what he was doing. Yeah. And I know that's past because they can't go back and address all those things, but Helen has been doing the parent life her entire time with these movies.
Yeah.
She's taking care of everybody. She hasn't had a job. Her job was being a mom, and now she, like you said, she finally gets this opportunity to talk about her own stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's kind of interesting from here because we there's a little bit more. There's some screen slaver issues that are going on, as well as Jack and Bob. So Bob needs some help with Jack. It comes to a point where we realize that, hey, he can't do this by himself. So he goes to Edna, because he's like, all right, I need a suit for Jack. I need something to help me with Jack, because all of these powers, I can't control them all. So he takes Jack to Edna. And I think this is one of my favorite parts, because Edna really does not like babies. Edna doesn't like children. She doesn't do babies. She's an artist, she says.
Bob, I do not babysit.
Yeah, she's not a kid person, not a baby person. And it was hilarious. She had some of the best lines of the movie in this little short little span.
Edna. You know Edna's voiced by the director, right?
Yeah, Bob Barr. Or yeah. Bill Barr. Sorry, Bill Barr. Which I think is just hilarious, and Edna's she was far away, outside of maybe possibly Frozone and his one little interaction with the wife. I'm the greatest good you're ever going to need. That was one of the favorite parts of the first movie. But Edna stole the show in the first movie, so everyone was waiting for her to come back. And
she had a small part. I wish she had been bigger, but I get it. Edna doesn't want a big part. Edna wants to just design and call it a day. Yeah. Anyway, she explains it. She even says, like, Jack doesn't have powers or whatever. What the hell am I going to do with this kid? And all of a sudden
I think he sneezed, or he does something and flew away and then started falling. No.
Changed his nose.
Oh, he changed to her. He did the metamorphosis.
He started changing to her, and she was instantly excited. And then he flew. Yep. And while she was trying to catch him, he floats so that he doesn't fall. And Edna's like mesmerized.
Well, she sees it as a challenge. Yeah, she's excited about this.
She's pissed that Elastigirl has this label designer outfit. She's furious about it. Yeah.
So you have Edna. She decides, essentially, in a way, he's not just trying to get her to design an outfit for Jack. He kind of hopes that she's going to take him, or he does. He needs some sleep. Yeah, Bob has not slept at all, and she's like, go, like, I got him. I need him here so I can do some research. Yeah. So Bob is like pushed out. He sleeps. He kind of has a little good heart-to-heart moment with Violet, a little bit, or tries to. Falls asleep mid-parenting.
We find out later he slept for 17 hours.
Yeah. And he goes back, and they have this new... Edna has this new suit. And this is before the suit, though. There's the hallway.
You were laughing so
I loved it.
hard during this whole time. So if everyone remembers during the first movie, Edna walks down this long hallway, very sterile-looking hallway, where she gives voice recognition, does a hand, types in some numbers.
She has this, like, short little walk, holds her cigarette.
Her long cigar. Yep. Or cigarette. So anyway, they're doing this hallway again. Bob's listening to Edna talk about all the experiments that she did, and she's holding her cigarette. And on the other side of Bob is Jack walking with them in stride with a lollipop, just the same way as the cigarette.
He's mimicking her, like, to a T.
Yeah, he has bonded with Edna.
Oh my god, in one night. And that's what's funny is, like, you see Edna's arc from, like, Jack's biting on her, chewing on her clothes, and she's hating it and, like, trying to get away from the baby. And then a day later, they are like
Edna.
Auntie Edna, yes.
Yes. And instead of her giving her qualifications or whatever to get into her secret area, Jack does it. Jack does his hand. He has to talk into the thing. He does his mumble, yeah. And there's clearly a tough bond there. And anyway, she sets him down just like Helen and Bob have done before. They sit down on these tiny little chairs in front of a glass encased area. She puts Jack in there. Jack is clearly
and Bob's like, wait a minute, he's going in with, because before, remember, they had all the suits and they did all the things to the suits, but Jack was in there with
and he was like, or Edna goes something like, relax, Bob, we've got it covered. And I don't remember what the sequence was.
Well, so I don't know what happened, but something happened where he starts multiplying. And he's like, oh, God, no, I gotta get a Num cookie. Like, he's thinking immediately of. And then that's where she's like, no, you're the line with, like, the cookie. And they have this cookie hologram that kind of
No, it's cookie on a stick.
Okay.
And it, like, runs past them, and all the Jacks go to get it, and it closes behind them, and Jack pissed.
Yeah, he turns into his demon monster. Yeah. And this is where then after that...
He gets on fire.
Yeah, there's the combustion imminent. And she's like, what's combustion? What do you mean? It means fire, Bob.
Because they have a screen.
Yeah, they have this new screen.
That monitors Jack's every movements with everything that he does. And so he explodes basically, and Edna goes, "Okay, push that button." He pushes the button, and purple fluff comes out.
It's like a lavender vanilla fluff.
Oh, that's right. Lavender vanilla comes out of the suit, and it extinguishes all the fire.
And it's edible, which is funny because
right.
Jack's just like munching on this foam.
Wasn't he it was like organic?
Yeah,
and
it's just
lavender
it's great. And yeah,
soothing.
And you see him just chomping down on this foam, and she's just like, "All right, here it is. You have to take care of this." It looks out after him, and there's all these different. It's like a remote control monitor system, and it comes into play a few more times throughout the movie.
I was fully expecting them to be like, and this is how you switch off all the power so that he can't use them.
There's something.
I was waiting for that, and they didn't, which is great. I'm glad they didn't go that way, but I was expecting that until he got older and could control them.
Yeah. So we jump back to Helen. Helen now is, because of all this positive feedback and all this reporting that she's been getting from saving the train, she gets an interview on this like late night TV host's channel or TV show. And in the middle of this show, or right at the beginning actually, she goes to like answer a question, and he says, "Do I have your attention now?" The host. And all of a sudden now you notice that he is not actually, the host is not there. It's now this, it's the screenslaver who has kind of started to do this. You see all the monitors start to do this, like, hypnosis strobing light.
White, yeah.
And, so it's clear that what's going on is everything's been taken over. Before, this is important to talk about with this little scene. Before she goes onto the show, she meets this ambassador. For ambassador to where, I'm not sure. She didn't seem like she was from the United States. But she has an important hand in this whole superheroes being legal or illegal thing.
She's the advocate.
Yes. And so they're all excited about it, and she leaves. It's like she had just finished her interview, and then she goes to leave. And one of the things that the host says under this hypnosis is that what's to prevent me from exploding her helicopter that's leaving off of the launch pad right now. And Elastigirl immediately breaks away, and it's like the ambassador's in trouble. She's in danger, catches up to this helicopter, saves the ambassador, but realizes that this is not a short-term thing. It's still out there. The screenslaver is still out there. So she's going to a plan to try to catch the screenslaver, and she's going to go back and do a remote interview and try to catch on the signal. She knows the screenslaver is going to jump in and hijack the TV show again. So that's what they do. Does a remote interview. Immediately after the interview gets started, screenslaver jumps in and starts doing this like really kind of like super villain monologue about all the downsides of society.
And this is the first time we supposedly see Screenslaver.
Yes.
Before we just heard.
Yeah, it was just a voice. I don't think we'd seen.
No,
the
we
face.
never even heard a voice. We just heard it through.
Yeah.
Other people that were hypnotized. And
so she's up on top of this antenna on top of the TV station and starts following the signal. Eventually follows the signal to this old warehouse and sees all these TV cords and communication cords and television cords, and she follows it in. There's this really creepy moment where she puts her hand underneath the door to unlock the door.
Oh, yeah.
And you see the screenslaver sitting there or standing there watching her unlock things, and it's like something out of a horror movie.
Oh, absolutely.
Very creepy.
Super creepy. He could have axed her hand.
Oh, yeah. And then you have this big fight, this huge fight in this warehouse. Something that actually I saw before we went and saw this yesterday is that there's a warning about people with seizures and epilepsy.
Is there? I didn't
because
realize that.
of the strobes that are associated with the screenslaver. There's the room where he actually. She goes to grab something and sees these goggles, and then he pushes her, shuts the door, and then they're locked in this room together, this caged room, and there's like strobe lights and everything that are trying to get her. So there's actually, that's something that it seems surprising that Disney would not keep that in mind with it's very drastic strobes that are going on during this 25, 30 second little fight in this box.
I wonder if, I'm sure they did some sort of research. I wonder if wasn't as drastic as we thought it was.
Yeah. Maybe it's just it would. They found it wouldn't have actually done anything.
Yeah.
But it just seemed weird. But anyways, there's this big fight and this chase scene that happens, and eventually Elastigirl catches up to Screenslaver, pulls the mask from him, and it's this kid. They find out it's this pizza delivery boy, and they're like, "What's going on?" He's like, "What's going on? You can't do this to me. Who are you?" Has no idea what's been going on. And they arrest him, and they go to celebrate. Hey, we've caught the Screenslaver. That's awesome. Like, another win for Supers. Mm-hmm. But there's something, Helen doesn't feel right about it. So she goes away from the party and starts watching the video of her own body cam.
Yes, and Evelyn comes up and is like, what are you doing? What's going on? And she goes, it just was too easy.
Yeah. And she's like, well, what if, and she starts to play this out. And she even says, she notices at one point that her body cam it's this little TV monitor behind right before the Screenslaver hits her, and when she's in the room, that she notices that the view of the Screenslaver is on the TV screen behind them. Mm-hmm. So she's like, but that was a closed circuit camera, so how do they have access? I must have hijacked it. So she's like, okay, that's weird though, because what if somebody else is controlling him? What if there are the monitor, like something about what if the monitors are not the monitors, but there's something else, like something in the mask. And as soon as she makes that connection, Evelyn slaps goggles on her, and she's like, you're too good. You're really good at your job. Mm-hmm. And that's the reveal that Evelyn is actually the Screenslaver, or at least the person behind the Screenslaver, who essentially is not actually a single person. It's just been utilizing all these other people as like tools.
Exactly.
So now we have her as the mastermind villain. We see that she is trying, essentially her backstory is that since her father died and put his faith into the heroes and still died, she's trying to have her revenge on these heroes, saying they're not what they think they are. They're actually more of a danger to society. We need to be more in control of our own actions and not rely on others. And so she actually utilizes Helen to get Bob to come to to DevTech. And says, oh, we got her. She's in trouble, but she's okay. She's acting weird, though. So he gets there. He tells Lucius to come over to take care of the kids because he's going to try to see if Helen's okay. Mm-hmm. He gets there, and Helen starts beating him up, like fighting him. But she has these like glowing goggles on. He goes, Helen, it's me. It's Bob. And like kind of like trying to have this connection with her. And she's like, she breaks it. She loses her edge. Like she recognizes him.
She pretends to recognize him.
She
kisses him. Yeah. And reaches back and gets the goggles from Evelyn and slaps them on Bob. Yeah.
And so now we have both Bob and Ellen who have these goggles on. They are being controlled. We jump back to the kids who are at the house. Someone knocks on the door, doorbell rings, can't remember. And it's these superheroes that we actually never talked about at any point, but it's kind of a hard point to talk. They jumped in basically right after the train incident where Helen was kind of, I don't know if I'm not doing this. The Screenslaver is still out there. What good did me saving these people really do? It prevented a small fire, but there's still a huge one about to go.
Should I be home? Blah, blah, blah.
And he's like, look at the good you're doing. And Winston, the brother, introduces her to this group of people. And there's all these different heroes who were inspired by Helen going and doing this, and and they felt that they could now go out and do things. And there's Void, who has the ability basically to open up little portals and transport things through these portals. You've got the acid reflux guy who basically vomits up lava. You've got some
Void
weird ones.
Girl, did she remind you of anybody?
Yeah, but I don't know who.
Erin Ryan.
Oh, did she?
100%.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm gonna have to talk to her. Erin Ryan, was she on the podcast?
She has not. We're trying to get her on. But no, actually, if any of you guys listen to the Unwritten podcast that Chris has been on, he's one of the writer-directors of it. Jordan was in it. We've had some other people who have been in it. But Erin was on the second season, so if you guys have listened to that. What was her character's name?
Maggie?
Maggie, that's right. That sounds right.
Yeah.
But yeah, she had like the same facial features and voice.
Same facial features and hey, my name is, hi, you're really great. Like, that's very Erin, and right. I love it. And so when I saw her, I was like, oh god, it's Erin in super animation form.
So these heroes, it's important we talk about them because they're the next plot point, essentially. They show up to the house, but they're all wearing the goggles. So they have all been now kind of hypnotized in order to get the kids. They're trying to round up all of the heroes. In walks Frozone saying, "Oh, that's funny. Like I was told to come take care of the kids. He knows something's up. He's there to protect the kids." And this is where we have this huge fight. This was kind of a cool fight where you see all the kids kind of working together. And Frozone trying to be kind of that uncle, trying to take care of the kids. And this is where we have the car that we didn't talk about. This is a huge importance.
Incredible.
The Incredible, yeah, the Incredible, like the automobile.
Which was Bob's car when he was in his heyday.
And we actually have seen this before.
Have we?
Because it's the car he's driving in when Syndrome gets in as a kid.
Really?
Yeah, so we've seen this car before.
That. Okay. Okay, so that's his car, and it was bought by a millionaire or whatever, and they couldn't figure out how to do all the fun...
Like the side gadgets, your James Bond gadget kind of thing.
Turns out Bob still has the remote for it. Dash is obsessed with it, and Dash calls the car, summons the car.
He goes, "Make the rockets explode, or launch the rockets." Kid is all about explosions. It's awesome.
But he summons the car, and it breaks into the house to kind of help them. And Frozone knows how to work the car, and he's talking to it just like we would talk to Siri.
Yeah.
Incredible. Unlock the doors, blah 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 blah, and then he says
voice recognition.
Yeah, Incredible,
like setting up
voice
accounts.
Recognition, and Dash and Violet, and I don't know if Jack
doesn't. No,
just Dash and Violet do it, and all of a sudden Frozone's fighting, and he gets slapped on
the goggles.
Yeah.
So at this point, it's kind of a passing on the torch. Now he knows he's outnumbered. He's not going to be able to protect the kids, but the car can get them out of there.
And the kids, luckily, because he thought of the voice recognition, because he was already recognized by Incredible, but not the children. They're able to take it out and get out of there. Yep.
So they get away, but now all of the heroes outside of the kids, at least the main heroes, they are under control of the screenslaver, Evelyn. The kids basically are just trying to get out of there. They figure out that essentially they're the only one. They have to do something. They know that mom and dad are in trouble. They've got to do something. So they get up to this Everjust, this massive cruise liner. That's right. Of which they are going to televise the signing of the accord that is going to make supers legal again.
Yes.
So they go to this, and he's like, "Oh, they miss it." The car pulls up, and it's already out to sea. They're like, "Oh man, I wish the Incredible could just take us out to sea." And it like turns into a boat and drives them up to the side. Again, there's another problem though, is they're in this car boat off to the side of this huge ship, and it's like, wouldn't it be great if it had ejector seats? And then they're like, "Oh no," and it's like, "Eject us!" And Dash tells it, and they go up in the air, and Violet glides them safely onto the ship. So now we're kind of in this climactic ending here, essentially. Everything is the supers have signed, or all the ambassadors have signed this accord, and that's when Evelyn kind of turns on the hypnosis device that, it's like stage 2 or stage B or something like that, which is the three main ones, Frozone, Elastigirl, and Mr. Incredible, kind of hijack the feed.
Yes. Yes, that is stage 2. But they hijack the feed, and everybody who's around signing the accord gets hypnotized by a screen, and they all freeze. Yep. And I don't know if it was Elastigirl or Frozone or Mr. Incredible say to the viewers who are viewing all of this, and we see people, on land really excited to see this thing being signed. You say, okay, we are taking this over. We've been held down and stuck underground for too long. Goodbye. That's basically it. They're threatening.
They're basically saying, this is your punishment for banning our life, of our powers that were there to help you, not to hurt you. Exactly. It's kind of a reality dose of what would happen. It's like revenge of the unjust, of unjustly treated, are taking back, and it's what a lot of people think when they think of like fight back. They're actually going against it.
Yeah, Evelyn is using the fear of people who made supers illegal, which was that they will overpower us eventually and kill us all. She's using that fear to make the supers actually do that when they really don't want to.
No, they don't.
They're all hypnotized.
Yeah.
So then proceed to action scenes, right?
Yeah, this is when now you start to see all of the kids are trying to get to their parents. Violet is telling Dash to stay back with Jack Jack. Jack Jack almost immediately disappears, so Dash is going off trying to find him. Violet's trying to find the parents and stumbles across some of the other supers, Void. They have a fight, and but Violet just gets away. You see all of the other the hypnotized side heroes kind of going about, and they are all together fighting the kids, and then it all gets back to this steering column essentially up in the main area of the ship, where you then see I want to say that it was Jack Jack who got the glasses off of his of Elastigirl.
Jack Jack gets away from his brother and sister, and he floats around into another dimension and ends up getting up to where you said the...
it's like the main deck of the ship.
Yeah.
The steering area.
Elastigirl's there. Eventually grabs him to grab him. And Jack Jack looks at her and gives her this look of, what the hell? And he uses one of his powers, and he moves the glasses off of her, and she instantly
just slightly.
Gets
it's like off of one eye, but it breaks.
Enough.
It breaks it. Yeah. So then she takes him off and smashes him, and then Frozone and Mr. Incredible are trying to fight her, but she's able to get the glasses off of Mr. Incredible and finally Frozone, and so then you have everybody united again. The funny thing is then you basically have one of these moments of Helen kind of upset with Bob in a small way of like, I missed his first power. Like, he has powers? You never told me this? And she's like, oh, you missed. Yeah, he's got more than this power. Like,
meanwhile, 14 years of all of us going, yeah, Jack Jack has powers.
Yeah, we all are very much aware of these powers. Which, it's very, very, very funny. So, yeah, and now they're like, okay, we have to stop Evelyn. Evelyn basically knows that she is no longer going to be able to hijack the entire situation, but she still can get out and win this war. She gets out on this airplane that kind of comes out of the ship. And she grabs her brother, which is interesting because she so far has said she does not care about her brother. She wants him to self-destruct and he may be the face of the company, but he'll be the face that goes down because he supported supers. Yeah. But she still grabs him and takes him to fly away and escape. I'm not sure what that was. If that's just, no, she really does love her brother. Or she plans on using him down the line or something. It was interesting. But anyway, she gets away. But everyone's going after her, and there's a couple things. There's a couple problems. The ship has been turned around toward the city. It's going to crash into the city. Evelyn's trying to get away. So they're like, okay, we've got different things we have to do. We have to get her, and we have to protect the city. Elastigirl's going after Evelyn, and Frozone and the kids and Mr. Incredible are all tasked with trying to stop the ship. At the same time, though, all of those other superheroes who still have the goggles on are fighting them. One by one, though, they get the glasses off, and everybody except for Dash goes, hey, there's one missing. Where's that Crusher dude? The Crusher is down with Mr. Incredible. It takes all these pipes. Essentially, Incredible gets the goggles off of him, but he's all right. You just crush these because he gets to the engine room, but he can't now because all these pipes are in front of the engine room. And what was the line?
He was like, "Can't you just uncrunch them?" Because he's named the Cruncher or Crunch. Yeah, with a K.
I thought that was great. What does he say? Like,
he goes, does someone ask you to unpunch something? He had a Russian accent or something.
It was Lamar. What's his name? He does the Jamaican guy from Futurama. That was the actor.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, what's his name?
Phil
Lamar. Phil Lamar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he does.
I didn't realize that.
He did a couple. He did.
But it was really funny. He was just like, "Did they ask you to unpunch something? Yeah. How can I uncrunch something?"
Yeah. Oh man, Phil Lamar is one of those voice actors that is in everything. Yeah. So when you see him in this, but yeah, it was like, and he just says it in this like snarky side comment, like, I'm not gonna do. I can't do this. No one asked you to do this. But yeah, so they eventually figure out they can't get to the engine room, so they're going to try to turn the ship. Using both the rudder underneath the water and one of the guiding like fins.
They're going to break a fin, turn the rudder, but Bob has to go in and turn the rudder from underneath the water.
Yeah, and so he wraps a chain. He loses the anchor from the anchor and chain, wraps a chain around himself, and dives in. Basically trying to turn this from underwater. Tells Dash to once the ship starts to turn, put it up. Yeah. So there's just like this conflict of like Dash saying he's been under there too long. Violet like, no, wait. Eventually he does turn it. And Frozone's been putting ice down at the bottom of the ship, trying to just chip away and break this fin. Eventually, yes, it all does this. Meanwhile, you've got Elastigirl who's up in the she's up in the ship, in the plane. Jet. And she gets up there, and immediately Evelyn turns off the oxygen. Well, no.
This was interesting.
Well, we forgot. Basically, before that, though, Winston decides that he doesn't want to be part of this, and he jumps.
Yeah, he jumps out.
He jumps out of the plane into the water, I think it was. Yeah. So and that's the last we see of him, I think. Like, he's okay. Like, he safely lands. We see him land.
Later, but I don't think he's wet.
Yeah, it was weird.
He must have landed on the boat.
Maybe he did land on the boat.
I don't quite remember. Anyway, he jumped out. He was like, I'm not in this.
No.
Bye.
He knew that she was evil, and no. And, speaking of, so Evil Endeavor. So maybe that was the hint. But then Winston, I don't know what that means. Endeavor?
He must
Endeavor?
be Endeavor.
Yeah. I don't know. So, but the evil Endeavor kind of thing, that jumped out to me later after I figured out.
Okay, interesting. I'm sure you're probably right on that one.
But then I was like, but why Winston? I thought maybe they'd do something.
Endeavor.
But I know, but Evelyn Endeavor.
Yeah.
But then Win.
I mean, think of another boy name that has IN in it.
I don't know.
Exactly. Winston.
Win Endeavor. I don't know.
Endeavor.
And the Ever Just too. I thought they were gonna have something like it flips, because I thought that Winston was in on it too for a while. I thought both of them were.
No, I always.
But then I thought it was gonna be like a panel breaks away or the paint rusts off and it's the Never Just. Or something
also,
like
since
that.
we're on this, we can't not recognize the people we both sat on, like next to on either side of us.
The two groups of people who
so surprised
had to vocalize all of their thoughts.
Listen, if you're an adult and you've grown up with Pixar movies, you start to immediately understand who the evil character is, or who will be revealed as the evil character.
Any childhood,
it's not hard.
No, it's not hard to figure out.
And apparently, all the people next to us did not get it. One woman, she went to the restroom and she came back. She was next to me, and her son informs her of what she just missed.
Which was actually the reveal.
The reveal of Evelyn. And she goes, oh, I knew it. Yeah, Mom, of course you knew it.
Yeah, I know.
Everyone knew it.
It's a bit rough there, but we've all been there. I mean, we had it during, what was the movie that you had the people that were was it The Post? And you had the people next to you who were having the life choices. You were tweeting it. I can't remember.
I'd have to look through my tweets.
Oh yeah.
Follow me on Twitter.
There you go. Just a selfless plug there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're gonna start it. You have to tell them what the handle is.
Okay. It's
you
usually
can't just say it.
Usually my style is just really just horrible sarcastic comments. _ Joe J-O _ Bo B-O, because I was a child when I made this. I'll eventually get a professional Twitter, but until then you can follow me at _ Joe _ Bo _
Yeah. Meanwhile, the adults over here watching Incredibles 2. So no, and yeah, it's one of those things that you're going to hear people like, yes, we knew Evelyn had something to do with it. Many of us said she was from the very beginning. She came in late, and it was like, okay, the first thing that we saw of her wasn't the villain, but very quickly we're like, oh yeah, she's the bad guy. You don't need to broadcast it to the world that you called it. But yeah, we both had to deal with that. But yeah, jumping back into the airplane though, it's kind of screwed up because essentially Evelyn is going to kill Elastigirl. She immediately takes all the oxygen away. She turns the oxygen off as Elastigirl's coming up to the cockpit, and we see that because the masks of the passengers drops down. And she's got her mask on, and very quickly Elastigirl's a little slower, and she's kind of shaking her head like nothing's quite right.
But then she starts acting goofy.
She's laughing at things.
And Evelyn is like, yes, when you're this percentage of oxygen in your body, you tend to let this hormone out or whatever. was very scientific. It was interesting. I wish I could.
Yeah, she's like, you start to get silly before you die, and then you have Elastigirl laughing, but she's saying, "I don't want to die."
Yeah,
and it's like,
"Oh, honey, no one does."
Oh, and at this point, I'm having Avengers: Infinity War flashbacks. Spider-Man. I don't want to die, Mr. Stark. Oh my God. So I'm like freaking out at this point, and then though she takes this. Okay, guys, I have to very quickly just tell you what you're missing here. So my OCD, my attention deficit, ADD wife, sorry there, is enjoying this interview and this guest hosting so much that she has taken a bottle cap and is using it as a monocle. Just so you guys are all aware. Just so we're all on the same page.
We said, just for everyone listening, we said we were going to keep this to an hour. It is now an hour and a half.
Well, no, we're at an hour and 20.
We're an hour and a half.
But yeah, so just so you guys are all aware. If you know Jordan, that shouldn't surprise you at all. If you don't, now you know her a little better. But yeah, so she takes, and was it a fire extinguisher? Or what did she do? She did something.
No, it was the Mayday gun.
Oh yeah, the flare gun.
Yeah, the flare gun, yes.
Yeah. She takes a flare gun that she sees, and she shoots Evelyn with it. Evelyn flies through the front window of the plane, and at this point, I'm thinking to myself, did she just fucking kill Evelyn?
I wish.
I mean, she should have. A flare gun to the chest is gonna probably kill most people. I'm pretty sure I've seen movies where it does, but I mean, it's Disney, so we can't kill anybody, at least not unless it's of a terminal disease, like Up or something. But yeah, so she gets her, but then Elastigirl jumps out the window and starts diving after her to save her, because heroes don't let people die. They shoot them with flare guns, but they don't let people die.
Yes. Did she shoot Evelyn? I thought she just shot the window.
I don't know. I think she probably just shot the window. It's not very Disney to shoot somebody, but I thought she hit her. Maybe she just hit the window. But then why would she fly out? And Elastigirl not fly out at all?
I don't know. Also, can pilots actually regulate the oxygen in their planes?
Well, it's not a normal plane. It's a little different.
You're right, but I'm just curious. Anyway,
I mean, we've got demon babies, but let's look at the logistics of a plane.
There's a lot of science in this movie.
But yeah, so she is, and Void is there to basically try to like protect her. She keeps saying like deploy the chute, and at the very last second, Helen grabs Evelyn, deploys her like bodysuit where she turns into a parachute. Void puts a portal at the very bottom of the water, like right at the top of the water, and they land on the ship because she then portals them onto the ship. Yep. So at this point, then we jump back to, okay, now we have a ship. Evelyn is captured, but now we have a ship that's barreling toward the city. We are able to break the fin and change the rudder, so the ship starts to turn. And Frozone has to start making all this like snow cone shaved ice, basically, because it's like they landed it and it's like snow. But he's like basically trying to prevent the ship from crashing into this side of a building. He does. Everything's fine. Mm-hmm. Superheroes are A-okay again. You basically see that there's a judge. And did you see did you notice anything particular about the judge?
No.
He was black.
Well, yeah, I noticed that, but that's not...
Well, I know, but like that's something subtle that Disney didn't have to do. Like, there's not a whole lot of black people in this movie.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of, I mean, not like they're progressive for making a black judge or anything, but I just noticed that and I was like, oh, okay. Could have not made him black, but that's good that they did. Okay. But then he's like and I don't know how he has this power to do this, but he is like the main judge of this city and says
he was probably a Supreme Court judge, and by national decree he said supers are citizens again. Yeah,
they are now legal, and which is kind of cool. I mean, like then everyone's like, yeah, cool, and then we like jump ahead maybe like a few weeks, a month or so, and you see Tony getting into the car with... Well, no, sorry. Before that, Violet reintroduces herself to Tony with this kind of air of confidence that she never had before.
Well, she had it before Underminer, excuse me. And then it went away because she found out they were in trouble and he forgot about her. And then it came back.
Yeah. So she's back to being confident again. She approaches Tony and asks him out. Not necessarily asks her out on a date, But just kind of starts talking to him. Then the next thing we see is he gets into the car, and you have Mom and Dad who are driving the car, Jack and Dash, who does this like hilarious British accent, like "Charmed to meet you, Tony," and he does this like goes to shake his hand, and he's like, "That's my annoying brother," and that's embarrassing, is what she calls him. And they're all there, and they're like, "We're all going to the movie, and but don't worry, we're going to a different movie. We're not going to be sitting next to you." Mm-hmm. And Violet's like, "No, you're not. You're going to go do something else," which very like we're getting back to normalcy of family again. And just normal family issues. Then we finally, as they are getting up to the movie, or the movie theater, which, what was the name of it was like Decimation 13 or something. Yeah. Like, there's got to be something Pixar, like, Easter egg with that movie title.
Oh, I'm sure. We'll see articles soon about
all the different Easter eggs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to check those out. But
we didn't talk about how Winston was like, "I'm really sorry about this," and Helen goes, "Should we worry about him? About Winston, do you remember?" And everyone was like, "No, it's no big deal, whatever."
I don't remember that. Oh, maybe no, I don't remember that.
He was like, "Is everyone okay? Okay, I'm going to be taking care of stuff," or whatever. And she goes, "Should we worry about him?" And I think they kind of just brushed it off, and then Evelyn was escorted into the police car.
Okay. So maybe that's why he jumped out. He's like, "No, I'm not part of this." Maybe we'll see a little bit of Winston. And I love Bob Odenkirk, so maybe we can get him back in the third one. I don't know. Yeah. That's a good. I didn't catch that. So maybe
see more of Evelyn being evil.
Evelyn was like a realistic, like working woman, evil villain without being a villain. Like she was a smart person who had had kind of evil, negative intentions. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so they're at this movie theater, and all of a sudden you see these like two cars drive by, shooting guns in the air, and everybody starts putting on their masks, like, "Oh, we're gonna go and do this." And so Violet pushes Tony out of the car, throws money at him, say like, "Get me a pop and popcorn. I'll meet you there. I'll be back in like a couple minutes." Mm-hmm. And they drive away, all putting on their masks, and that's the end of the movie.
Well, and the car turns into an incredible.
It's like a rocket, but it's not the same one. It's like an updated
it's a different
version,
one, but it's definitely incredible. It's not incredible.
Yeah, it's like because it's got the red, like their outfits. Yeah, and that's the end. So two things. Well, first off, I was going to ask you what character you wanted to see more of, but I'm pretty sure I know what it is. But for the sake of posterity, what is one character from the movie that you saw but you didn't see enough of? You wanted more of?
Who did you think I was going to say?
Well, I thought you would have said Edna until the end when you just got done like 2 seconds ago saying you wanted to see more of Evelyn. So you got to pick one. Though.
I would definitely say if it had to be between those two, because those would definitely be the ones I want to see. I want to see more of Edna. I need more of Edna, but at the same time, Edna's just a quick hit it and quit it, done. Yeah. Like, that's all she needed, that's all she wrote, that's all she wanted. But I'd love to see more. I want to see outtakes of Edna babysitting Jack. That's all I want.
Oh, yeah. I think it would have been hilarious. Right there's my two, Edna and Jack. Jack could have been the entire movie, and I would have been fine with it. True. He was hilarious. His like baby gargling voices that he did a few times, I died every time. His whole fight with the raccoon, I thought was hilarious. And then just like throughout the movie, anytime Jack, they said, a lot of the reviews that I saw going into this were like, Jack's going to steal every scene he's in, and he did. I definitely could have done with more Jack, just because it was fun. All right, so your final thoughts and then ratings. Let's see. What's a good scale that we should do? 1 out of 5. I was going to say Num Num Cookies. But is there anything better?
I don't think there's anything better than Num Num Cookies.
Okay.
That's a good one.
We're going to do our scale is 1 out of 5 Num Num Cookies. And what are your final thoughts? I'll let you go first.
Okay. This was a movie that was long in coming. I was not like a die-hard fan of Incredibles. I thought it was a good movie. I thought we could have done without another one. I really thought I was just fine. I'm really glad the second came. I'm really glad there was a fan base for it. I loved it. I thought it was well done. There are a few questions of the husband-wife relationship and male-female relationships that I wish they had addressed more, but I think they did a decent job. I just wish there had been more of Helen being a parent and a super in the first movie, as opposed to just saying this is like the first time it's ever been done and Bob is doing it for the first time.
Yeah.
But I still think they did a very good job and they did justice, and I understand why they took a while. I get the body cam thing.
Yeah.
That's amazing that they put that in there. It was a slight subtle nod and whatever, and I like it. I love the way they approached the storyline. The storyline itself, as far as who would be evil, was a little simple, but
yeah, it didn't give you a whole lot of surprises.
Yeah,
but...
I wish there had been more mystery, but they weren't focusing on the storyline for this movie. It wasn't about that. It was about a little bit of a social justice message, and I appreciate that.
It took about half the movie before Screenslaver was really a big deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I liked that. I hope they make a third one. I hope they... I don't know if they will. I'm sure they'll try.
I think they will.
But they can't wait another 14 years.
No. Well, and we're at a point now where I think if it won't take that long, because you look back 14 years ago, when you look at the Disney Pixar movies, it was 2004? Let's see, Disney Pixar movies. When did the first Toy Story come out? 1999?
Yeah.
They're definitely not... They're able to churn these out in so much quicker than they used to.
Yes.
Incredibles, yeah. So 1995 was Toy Story. 3 years later, A Bug's Life. Then you start to see them coming a little quicker.
Mm-hmm.
But Incredibles was 2004. And then you start to see a lot of these major ones coming out. At the same time, the director of Incredibles, 3 years later, directed Ratatouille.
Yeah.
So, like, he was doing other things. They were doing other things. It's hard to get everybody together. I think at this point, you're not going to see... I mean, Cars 2 came out in 2011. Cars 3, 6 years later. They know what they have with Incredibles. I would say 5 to 6 years later, we'll get another one. They're probably already in pre-production for the third one.
I'm sure they are. I read an article that said the girl who played Violet didn't get to see Violet's hair animated until the show started, because it took that long to get animated hair figured out.
Well, I remember what they talked about with Brave and Moana, how it was so hard to get hair.
Painstakingly difficult. So yeah, I'm sure they'll be able to churn it out quicker now. It made them a lot of money, and I think it did really, really well. Yeah. I'm going to give it 4 Num Num cookies.
4 Num Num cookies. Yeah, I'm right there with you. I thought it was very well done. I, on the other hand, was very high on it. I thought that of the first, 10 or so, Incredibles was up there. I like Incredibles and like Monsters Inc. more than even like Toy Story. I love Toy Story and like Bug's Life. Those are awesome. But there's something about the other ones. Incredibles, I'm a huge superhero fan, so it's kind of cool to finally get a little bit of that in the Disney realm. It's kind of cool to see those things. Like we talk about how the Toy Story grew up with the people as far as like Monsters Inc. and Monsters University. Those that saw it were finally now out and going to college. And you have those things. Good. And so I think they did a little bit of that with The Incredibles. It's like 14 years later, we're dealing with those social issues that the Incredibles family were dealing with. The issues of justice in our society, the issues of male and female equality. We're all very much a part, at least a lot of the fan base, at least this podcast, and a lot of the guest hosts, we're millennials, or really close to that age range. So we're along for the ride that The Incredibles was trying to portray, at least the second one. So I was very happy with it. I thought it did a really good job. It was fun. Jack was great. Edna was great. Samuel L. Jackson dropped in for his mandatory 20 lines, and he was out. He was not part of the movie much. But he was there. We had another one of the wife yelling from the distance. Not as memorable as the "I'm the greater good," only greater good you're ever going to get. But it gave us everything that we wanted out of it. It was a good story, and it set us up for a third one. So I'm going to give it. I'm going to do 4.5 Num Num cookies, with the other half already being eaten by Jack. So that wraps it up for us this week. Next week we are going to be looking at Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom. Don't have a guest host for that yet, but we have a lot of people lined up, so we will definitely have somebody lined up for that next week. In the meantime, you can always reach out to us on our email, that is driveineventide@gmail.com, on Twitter @driveineventide, and in the meantime, check out _Joe_Bo, B-O _ to see Jordan. I'm pretty sure during the span of this, she uploaded a picture of her monocle to her Twitter, or she will be. So check that out. You can actually see what it is that I was experiencing during the recording of this. Jordan, I think this one was so much better than the first episode. We'll have to get you on for, I think, what was the next one you were saying you were looking at? You said there was one coming out that you're like, yeah, I'll have to get on for that one. Oh, it was it the Wreck-It Ralph or, no, it was, it was Wreck-It Ralph or How to Train Your Dragon. You were like, oh, we'll get on for that one. I don't know. We need to get you not just doing the children's ones. You're not PG.
Why?
You're not PG. I'm pretty sure a couple F-bombs were dropped, so we're going to have to
I did not say an F-bomb.
You did.
This one.
You said one, I said one.
No, I didn't.
You'll have to go back and listen. If you guys caught it, call her out. _ Joe _ Bo _ All right, guys. That is it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, drive home safe.